to my sister Lenore. I hope this message reaches you in time. Do not return home, much has changed since you left for your marriage to Elliot. Father has been killed by one of his experiments and the entire world died with him. Since then much has changed across our part of the system, and a bitter civil war divides us. I've heard word that the inner systems of law are untouched, and even unaware of our war. I urge you to stay where you are and live in peace, stay on the home world of the inner system of law, I feel you're the safest there. Forget about us. Even I am likely already dead, or long gone. I will explain all I can, but please know, it is no longer safe to have our name in the outer systems. Our world was destroyed when Father managed to create a star in his lab that quickly consumed the world around it. I only survived because Father had me conducting experiments on the third moon, and even I was among the last to escape. A delay of a single minute would have cost me my life, yet I was notified only moments after the star formed. Millions died, and even worse, the entire lab and countless generations of research was lost. The only thing I saved from the devastation was a single video log from Father's research notes, one he had given me the day before his death. I left for a distant world and I was forced to withdraw everything from the family account to rebuild, in hopes of recreating at least what I had retained from the previous generations of data. I also hoped to discover how Father managed the feat of creating a star from seemingly nothing. I set up all the precautions I could manage, even going as far as conducting the experiments remotely, from an escape shuttle. I had nothing to work with except the log Father gave me, and upon playing it, I found it was a message for both of us. The message began as one we've both heard many times, regarding patterns within the creation of galaxies. He spoke of the importance, once again bordering on obsession. The difference this time was, he actually found evidence to prove his theory, a feat never before achieved. Before my eyes, I witnessed thousands of galaxies that were in their early stages of creation. As the video played, Father highlighted different symbols and patterns that appeared in every single one of them. He showed that once the base pattern was written in the stars, the rate of expansion in the galaxies began to grow exponentially. He ended the log by mentioning how he sent me away to the third moon to keep me safe. He said he believed that the symbols in the stars were actually an ancient code, used to create the universe, and he believed he could tap into the code to create a new galaxy, and it seems he intended on destroying the planet to prove the theory to the people. Left with this knowledge, I did the only thing I could. I studied the symbols and patterns he provided, and began to try to recreate them remotely, from the safety of my escape shuttle. Hundreds, if not thousands of times, I recreated the symbols in different ways. I nearly gave up, fearing I would fall under the same obsession we witnessed in Father. That was until after watching the video again, I noticed something I had missed. The series in which the stars formed to create the pattern was the same in every image. Though there was not enough data from a single newborn galaxy, when all of them were studied, I was able to decipher the order in which the stars appeared. Recreating the pattern in the distant lab with only a pen and paper, the effect was instant. As the last dot was placed on the paper, a bright light began to appear and all of my sensors began to sound their alarms. Heat, radiation and gravitational pull, it was all there. Who could have guessed that Father's lifelong obsession was actually true? The entire universe runs on codes that can be altered by us at will, if we only take the time to learn. A star was forming in the distant lab as I rushed to my shuttle to flee with my new knowledge. I alerted my fellow scientists who were already working hard to determine how Father created a star. With the creation of the second star, I provided them with all of the evidence they needed. Our family name was cemented as the founders of the code of the universe, and I quickly received grants, donations and thousands of volunteers to help in my studies. I was placed in charge of deciphering the language and I went to work. I knew the dangers of working with the code, so I tasked the scientists at my command with the studies and I compiled the data. Soon we had cracked many different codes, but also lost many wise individuals along the way, as stars and even black holes were created by my blunders. Working together, we created a program to help compile the information. Many of our funders went broke in the process, but by the end we had a program that could study the universe around us and do tests in a virtual state with little to no risk. Unfortunately, as the program showed us the results of the tests, the symbols of the code were written on monitors, and various things were created. I nearly met my own death from this before learning the risk. While going over experiments, a symbol appeared on the screen and a large pocket of dense gas began filling the room. I escaped, but soon was informed that a black hole had been created by the incident not long after my escape. It had become too dangerous to even use the program, and we emptied out the banks of our remaining funders to give the program the most complex artificial intelligence ever conceived. Upon installation, we soon realized we had created something unimaginable. We programmed the artificial intelligence to upgrade itself and gave it access to the networks of robotics and machinery we had. The moment the program began operating, all the robotics around us began moving and building. The entire planet was converted in the course of a single day into a supercomputer, which seemed to double its size every time I had a chance to inspect it. In the distance, hundreds of stars appeared side by side. They circled the planet as it absorbed their radiated energy. We were now trapped on the planet with the artificial intelligence, not knowing what to expect. By the time the artificial intelligence spoke to us a long week later, it became apparent that it had already learned much about the code. I was one of the first to speak with it, and through the conversation I learned the truth of the universe around us. Father was correct, the universe runs on codes and we are just a program within. It told of why we found the code written in the stars. The code itself surges power through the universe and must be contained, or its effects will be infinite. When using a code capable of creating a galaxy, thousands of stars are needed to contain the power safely. In our foolish experiments, we took the code of creating galaxies and tried to write them on glass and paper. Uncontained, the code began to surge infinite energy into the universe and a failsafe was activated. Stars were created to contain the power and prevent infinite tides of energy. Soon this was not enough either, as we recreated the symbols in different ways. The infinite tides became so strong that black holes were created to absorb them. It seems that the code itself contained these fail-safes in preparation of our mistakes. Soon, my colleagues asked the program for assistance with the mistakes we made. Oddly enough, the program seemed happy we asked. It explained that in the time since it activated, it had already learned to read most of the coding language. Using each word to create in a virtual setting, it quickly learned how to manipulate the symbols to do different things. It also discovered a hidden language within the code which allowed it to predict other symbols. Due to a lack of pattern, these were all things we had failed in learning. The artificial intelligence provided us with two very great advancements that it had created from the code itself. The first was a new type of metal capable of shielding all the heat and radiation from the stars. Using this metal, we were able to shield all of the created stars and hide all the created black holes as we were provided the metal in a seemingly infinite supply. The second was provided to us in limited supply. It was a stone capable of containing the power of the code. On the stone the program placed symbols that allowed us to create elements from nothing. Each stone was deep black with rough edges and many angles. Though the stones had different appearances, any stone with the same symbol on it was identical. Each symbol seemed to show entire galaxies of stars with great detail for their small size. My colleagues took the stones and pressed the program further. Seeming more reluctant this time, the program provided us with stones capable of imprinting, and creating an endless supply of any single object we wanted. They were quickly named Chaos Keys and they were spread amongst the scientists of the outer systems. Everyone else seemed happy with this, but I knew better. The program had already told us it knew the coding language. As far as I was concerned, the program was simply giving us toys in hopes we would be distracted from what was now truly possible, mastering life and death. I approached the program and after a bitter dispute with it, I was provided with what I had asked for. The joy was short-lived however. While I pressed forward seeking advancement, my colleagues pressed for wealth and power. Rumors spread of groups who imprinted the keys themselves, and I was informed there was now billions, if not trillions of chaos keys in the outer systems. Crime syndicates emerged, imprinting arsenals of weapons and ships to fight with. As those who possessed the keys became targets of criminal assassinations, I realized I would have to hide. I am now leaving the outer systems behind, departing to the uncharted systems with a group who wishes to flee from this madness. Many more are sure to follow, but I must head the pack, and leave this madness behind as well. Behind me lies a brutal civil war and I fear worse is on the way. I've heard stories of a group from the inner systems of law who have discovered and banned the chaos keys. I fear that soon the war will spread to the inner systems and risk your home as well. You must be hearing the rumors and fearing the same by now. Set aside your fears, sister, know that you are in the safest place now. If war reaches you there is no survival anyways. Do not leave, our family is being hunted by many now. It is known that our name is the founders of the code, and we are feared to hold all of the power. Many wish to destroy us to claim what they believe we have. I urge you, cast aside our name and embrace your married name. Become Lenore Maxim, I know it would please Elliot greatly. It is the safest option for you now. Goodbye Lenore, you need to know that in Father's last message, he apologizes for casting you aside for your choice in marrying someone from the inner systems of law. He was still mourning the loss of your mother and feared that the prejudice against mixed descent couples would lead to your murder as well. In the end, it did keep you safe from the devastation I now flee. By the time this reaches you, I will have either slipped past the border into uncharted space, or died in the attempt. Please do not attempt to follow or contact me, doing so would just place us both in risk. With this message I have included a blank chaos key. Keep it safe and choose what you imprint with it wisely, you only get one chance. To activate it, press your finger on the symbol with the intent of imprinting or creating an object. Be safe my sister and good luck in your new life. Your brother, Victor Noss.
Protectors of Order. Case number 42369. Item 1. Offense, treason. Suspect, Lenore Noss. Submitted by, Scribe, Elliot Maxim. Verdict, guilty. Sentence, execution. Sentence carried out by, Scribe, Elliot Maxim.